Let me start by adding a new term in TermWeb, and then we'll see how that syncs to WorldServer. So I'm going to start by adding some metadata on the concept level. So for source, let's say this comes from my dictionary, and the definition for the term I want to enter is this is a four-legged animal that barks. I'm going to save this as my metadata on the concept level, and then I want to add a term. I want to add a Dutch term. That's the language that I have configured. Oh no, I need to use the Dutch word. And I can specify the metadata. I don't have to. So if I want to stick to this and just add my Dutch term and nothing else, that's okay. But you can also add additional information that you want to sync. So this word in Dutch is masculine, and it's actually a noun. And this isn't finalized term, so it doesn't need to go through approval again or anymore. And this is an admitted term, let's say, so I can use this. So I added my Dutch term with some metadata. Now let's do the same and add an English term. I can provide some context. And I can do the same. I can add gender, any information I like to. Okay. And let's leave this user status empty for now, and let's see what happens. And let's see how we can sync this information to WorldServer. So for that, I would need to go back to WorldServer to my rule execution section. And what we want to do is we want to sync from TermWeb to WorldServer. So that's the import rule that we created, or that I created previously. I select the rule that I want to use, and I can execute it. And that will confirm what's happening. So it's found two terms in the dictionary I specified, and it has imported these into WorldServer. So I can confirm this success message, and then go to my term dictionary in our term database in WorldServer. And if I refresh the screen now, then we'll see that it actually has something in there. So if I do a search, then I will find the terms that I added in TermWeb. So you can see that the two terms have been added, but their status is different. So this one has a green check mark indicating that this term is good for use, and this one has a question mark indicating this term has only been proposed, so has not been verified yet in TermWeb. And this is because, if you remember what I did, I added usage information for my Dutch term, but not for my English term. So for my English term, I specified the processing status, so it was finalized in terms of processing, but I didn't specify usage status. And the usage status is actually what is used in the integration to specify whether a term is good for use or not. So as long as that information is not completed on the term website, then we'll have nothing, or it will show up as proposed in our WorldServer section. So if I click on the details of this term, then you'll see that also the metadata that we specified in TermWeb has been moved across. So we have the definition that I specified, which will show up on entry level in WorldServer. You also see that it shows the TermWeb section that the term was actually, or the concept was taken from, and also the metadata that I specified on term level has been copied over. So if I go to my English one, for instance, then you see that this context sentence that I added has also been brought over. Note that you have this read-only field from TermWeb that indicates that this term has actually been synced from TermWeb. So that's basically how the synchronization from TermWeb to WorldServer works. Now let's see how we can also propose terms from WorldServer and have them appear in TermWeb. So for that, I'm going to create a new term, or a new entry rather, in WorldServer. And let's say I want to add another one in the same field. CAD is my English term, and let's say that I think this is good for use. With some metadata in there, I can do the same. Does it also edit? So I have a question. When we edit something in TermWeb, will it be reflected in WorldServer? Yes, it will. This is also something that we can that I can show later on. But if you make any changes to an existing term in TermWeb, then it will be synced again the next time the sync is triggered, and the changes will be reflected in WorldServer. So it's again a noun, etc. So you can specify whatever metadata that you think is suitable. Let's add a translation as well. And let's put this as a preferred translation. And I'm not going to specify anything else, just save this term and save my entry. So we have a new term now with an approved English variant and a preferred Dutch variant. So let's move to TermWeb now. Let's see what the result of that is. So I have two sections in my dictionary, so I can click on it by clicking on this field. I'm looking at my proposals section now, so that's the one that new terms are being added to, and indeed I see that a new term has been added with the English, or a new concept has been added with my English term, my Dutch term, and the metadata that I specified in WorldServer.